Believe me, I was as surprised and as dumbfounded as you are when you saw the title of this video when I saw the title of the article that we are pulling this video's idea from. Today we're talking about the Montreal Canadiens and some potential moves that Marc Bergevin may indeed think about doing. Now this comes from TVA Sports, where they uploaded an article a few days ago asking the hypothetical question, Ramener Sergachev, le prochain coup de Bergevin? Translated into English, that means bringing back Mikhail Sergachev is that Bergevin's next move. Now, the article goes over a whole bunch of introductory things. It talks about the last time Mikhail Sergachev played against the Montreal Canadiens, which in this case was all the way back in December 28, when the Canadiens and the Lightning played each other on a Saturday. Later on in the article, though, it talks about how the Montreal Canadiens are lacking three key elements to compete with the best teams on the circuit. And with this in mind, those three elements are a prominent right winger, a solid auxiliary goaltender, and an attacking left-handed defenseman. This article is proposing that for that last spot, all the Canadiens need to do is take a look at their old draft board and see if they can offer sheet a guy like Mikhail Sergachev. Now, the reason Sergachev is in this position is because when you take a look at the cap situations of both of these teams, you can kind of start to see a little bit of a connection there when analyzing one team's cap and analyzing the other. Montreal has a projected $20 million in cap space for next season, and with only really Domi and Mete as their only really important re-signings that they need to do, they're going to have quite a lot of cap space. Now, that's assuming they don't re-sign Dale Weiss and Charles Hudon and Christian Folin and Xavier Oulet, because there are a whole bunch of other guys too. Keith Kincaid is in that conversation as well. But for the most part, it's only really Domi and Mete that the Habs are going to need to use that $20 million in cap space on, which means there will be approximately, let's say, $10, $12, $13 million in cap space at the Montreal Canadiens' disposal for next year. The article brings it up, and with this point I definitely agree. That means that Marc Bergevin needs to go out there, use the money, and make this team better. Because aside from adding guys that you already had in the system, like Suzuki, soon to be Romanov, and in about a year's time Cole Caulfield, the Montreal Canadiens haven't really done anything to add some very significant pieces from outside the organization. They tried it with Aho, didn't work out. Now this time, the article is proposing, hey, Sergachev is that guy. Because the Tampa Bay Lightning are in a spot where they have a projected $7 million in cap space remaining, and they still have to sign Anthony Chiarelli. They have to re-sign Kevin Shattenkirk, Bogosian, Luke Schenn, Eric Cernak, as well as Mikhail Sergachev. So, if the Lightning want to get that done, they're going to need to really clamp things down on the economical side of things because they don't have too much cap space remaining. And if they wanted to sign a guy like Sergachev, who, if you take a look at his statistical profile, he has been a very, very good NHL defenseman. Despite playing on the third pair last season, he had 34 points in 70 games played. You're probably going to have to shell out a pretty penny. And if there's a team that will be able to do that, Montreal definitely is high up on that list. So, just from the cap perspectives of both of these teams, what this article on TVA Sports is indeed bringing up doesn't really seem too crazy when you actually think about it. In addition to that, there are the other contextual circumstances that surround this offer sheet idea, because Marc Bergevin is a guy who literally has done the offer sheet before. If there's anybody that's going to be out there sending them out, Marc Bergevin is probably a top pick on my list to do that. maybe because Sergachev kind of had somewhat of a down year, you could get him for a little bit of a cheaper price in comparison to what he probably would have asked, bearing the very good performance he had in his first season. Mikhail Sergachev's first season in the NHL saw him get 40 points in 79 games, which honestly is really good. And he was only 19 when he did that. Now Sergachev is 21, and to me he is still going to get better. I have no doubt about that. Sergachev has always been a very flashy, a very offensively capable defenseman, and he has been that ever since he was drafted by the Montreal Canadiens back in 2016. He was honestly somewhat of a steal at 9th overall, but then again, a lot of the other defensemen that went after Sergachev also could be considered steals too. McAvoy, Chychrun, as well as Dante Fabro. I'm totally not saying that just to compensate for my lack of a star defenseman coming out of that draft, selected at the 5th overall spot. Cough, cough, Vancouver Canucks. But Sergachev, after getting traded from the Montreal Canadiens to the Tampa Bay Lightning in exchange for Jonathan Drouin, it's always something that's going to kind of bug me in a sense, because mostly just how Jonathan Drouin's tenure in Montreal has been, it hasn't really been the prettiest. He had some really nice years, yes, but at the same time, all the injuries really slowed him down and stopped him from playing a lot, which really does suck to see. Especially when you're taking a look at the guy on the other side who has been getting 35-plus point pace seasons as a defenseman, who is still very young and who still is going to improve tremendously. Sergachev is a left-handed guy, so if you take this kind of player, you slot him beside a Weber, you slot him beside a Petrie, you slot him in your top 4 in Montreal, all of a sudden you have a very legitimate top 4. And any Habs fan taking a look at a Sergachev and taking a look at that piece can definitely see the value on that. And it's honestly gotten to the point where this season, if we had a Sergachev, things may have been a little bit different. And honestly, if you take a look at it at face value, if you played the 2019-20 Montreal Canadiens with Jonathan Drouin, and you played the 2019 Canadiens without Drouin and with a Sergachev, I honestly would think the Sergachev team would have been better, mostly just because Drouin was away for so much of this season, and what a Sergachev can add to your back end is very, very, very significant. So, if the Montreal Canadiens were thinking about offer sheeting a player, whether that's a Matthew Barzal, whether that's another nice center to add to your core, I honestly think a Sergachev could be a very, very valuable piece in that asset. Now, I know it's TVA Sports just reporting and saying, hey, is this the next move? But the idea of this move even coming to fruition is something that Marc Bergevin, in my opinion, should think about. And because it's Marc Bergevin, I think he is probably thinking about it too. Sergachev on the Montreal Canadiens' top power play, for example, giving him that opportunity to shine, not playing in the shadow of Victor Hedman and all the other good defensemen that they have over there in the Tampa Bay Lightning system. It will give him a spotlight, and he might even become much better than he was with Tampa. So, I turn the floor to you here on this video discussion. What do you think about adding a Mikhail Sergachev to the Montreal Canadiens? What do you think about having this player here and using the offer sheet to pry him away from the Tampa Bay Lightning? Does it make sense enough for you to want to do that? Do the contextual factors of the Canadiens' cap space and the Lightning's projected cap space make you say, yeah, this is an opportunity for gold right here? Or are you not thinking that? If you're not, then tell me in the comments below what your thought process is about this situation, because I know there are a lot of Habs fans who probably would be very opinionated about this. When it comes to left-handed defensemen, Habs fans get very, very argumentative on who they should get, who in the system is already ready to fill that role. Hey, if you have a Romanov and a Sergachev next year, Your top 4 consists of Sergachev, Weber, Romanov, Petrie, and all of a sudden that is a very, very legit top 4. So I hope you enjoyed this video. 99, and bye.